What up gamers, Fencer here, and in this video I want to share my thoughts on the Knuckles TV series. That means I'll be discussing spoilers for the show as well as the movie since they're in the same universe, and also some of the games like Sonic Adventure and stuff like that. So yeah, spoilers up ahead for season 1 of the Knuckles TV series. You have been warned. So to start, if you couldn't tell by the name of the show, the Knuckles show is about a character named Wade, who goes from a wimp to a warrior, with a special guest star, Knuckles the Echidna. So, if you couldn't tell by now, that's just how I see the show. My thoughts on it are not positive for the most part, but I don't think it's all that bad. There are scenes and moments that I do like, even for my least favorite character, and you can probably guess who that is if you watched the show. Of course, if you like the show, that's good. I wish I liked it too, but I don't. In my opinion, this show doesn't do much for Knuckles, but it does do a lot for Wade. So, the way I'll be organizing this video is to go episode by episode. Now, normally, I just talk about each character's stories instead, but really, it felt like there was just one main story with Wade. So, yeah, let's start with episode 1, which is my favorite episode of Knuckles. It shows Knuckles training and adapting to the new world he's now living in, but he does it in his own way. The reason why I liked this episode the most is because it just shows Knuckles doing Knuckle things. It just reminds me of like Boom Knuckles, like the Sonic Boom's version of Knuckles, but instead of being an idiot, he's very fixated in the warrior stuff. Later on, Knuckles was tasked by Patrick Mack to train Wade to beat his dad in bowling, and then in the next episode, Knuckles did get captured by two rogue gun agents, and then Wade rescues him. Now, I did get worried at first because I thought they wouldn't show too much of Knuckles later on since he got captured by them, but then Wade was able to free him in one of my favorite scenes where he imagines himself just freeing Knuckles in a really badass and hilarious fashion. So, yeah, I freaking love that whole scene. But yeah, so far I think the first two episodes were really cool, really funny, probably the best in the show. But then we get to episode 3 and episode 4, which I felt like they could have combined them into one episode. So, episode 3, we spend time with Wade's family throughout the entire episode. I thought the mom character was fine, but the sister, man, geez. She was the most annoying character I've ever seen, like so far in my experience of the Sonic franchise. You know, it makes me wonder if this is how people feel with Jar Jar Binks back in Star Wars, where people find him to be way too goofy. But in this show, I thought the sister was way too annoying. Like when she stabbed Wade with the fork. Like that was one of the most shocking things I've seen in a while. And then just Wade, like he just walks away as if it was just a scratch. That's when I remembered that the script, like the way it was just written, is just very, very cartoony. Even the dialogue between Wanda, which was the sister, and Wade really felt just very childish and I guess cartoony, especially given their jobs as an FBI agent and a police officer. But they're not entirely bad. Actually, one of my favorite scenes in the show, like with Wanda, my least favorite character, is when she broke her hand to remove her handcuffs, and they showed us how disfigured it is. But yeah, I like stuff like that. And you know, even looking back at the fork scene, I kind of like that scene too. I guess I just don't like her dialogue and the way she's been portrayed with her writing. But I do like some of her action scenes, like in a comedic sense. But overall, I think the premise of just getting to know his family isn't bad, but I do think they spent way too much time in it. Yeah, like I said, just combining episode 3 and 4 into one, I felt like this part of the story could have been condensed down to 10 minutes at the most. But I wouldn't mind this episode at all if in the next episode we would get a lot of Knuckles since we got a lot of Wade here in episode 3. But that isn't the case, at least not it's not entirely what I thought it would be. But episode 4 is where Wade gets kidnapped by his bounty hunter friend. But then he freed himself by going through Knuckles' past, which is done through doing a musical with Wade playing as Knuckles. And yeah, I thought this was the worst part of the entire series, and also a huge missed opportunity where I felt like they could have used just CGI for this. Like, if they were to use CGI the most in one area, it'll probably be during this scene, showing Knuckles pass through CGI and not through a musical. Then, after the musical, Wade was able to use some superhuman strength to break out of the electric cage, a moment that, I feel like this moment would have been more consistent and very important, but I don't think this was brought up or explored later on again. So thinking back, yeah, this whole superhuman strength of Wade did feel very much out of place and so random. But I will say, going into episode 4 and episode 5, it feels a lot better. At least, yeah, it feels more engaging because Wade and his family reunites with his dad, who is Pistol Pete, and I thought it was interesting. The story has been building up to this moment, and I thought it was good. It's just, it's not really great or the best, but it feels serviceable. That's pretty much a story, and it's funny how I didn't really mention the rogue gun agents and the buyer throughout like me summarizing the story, like all the way to the end here. And that's because in my opinion, they don't feel that integrated into the story. This is pretty much what I mean when I said that the show does a lot for Wade and not a lot for Knuckles. Personally, I feel like if you wrote out all the Sonic stuff, the story would still work. Knuckles' story and development pretty much ended when he met Wade. If anything though, Knuckles grew to understand the Earth better, like the world around him better, but that's just it. But to the show's credit though, I thought they did a good job of at least making Knuckles feel like himself. Even his action scenes and abilities were awesome to watch, like the gliding, the digging. But yeah, character-wise though, I can't say the same for Patrick Kamak, which I didn't even know he was the same one from Sonic Adventure. I just never knew his name until now, until I just heard about it. And that got me thinking about just how much better it would be if the show was about that. So I don't fully remember the Sonic movies version of Knuckles' origin, only that the echidnas and the owls were fighting each other. I might need to look back at that musical maybe to get a refresher, or maybe rewatch the movies again. But yeah, maybe it was said there. But seeing Patrick Mac makes me think, makes me want to, wish for a story to be based on the Sonic Adventure, like the first game. Like maybe in times of desperation, the Echidnas would try to use the power of the Master Emerald to defeat the Owls, but instead they got Chaos instead, who then wiped out the Echidnas and maybe the Owls too, and maybe even add Tikal somehow, but just give her like serious dialogue instead of like the goofy ones we see in the show. But yeah, that's just what I want to see. I would love to see something like that instead of the musical. But I did hear that the story they use in the musical is based on Sonic 06. I never played Sonic 06, so I don't know how good the story was portrayed. But something like that, like something like what I said with Patrick Mac, is what I'd like to see over a musical. Anyways, yeah, we're pretty far into this video, and we haven't even discussed the actual threats in the show, who are the rogue gun agents and the buyer. Like I said, I think you can write out anything Sonic related, and the same can be said for these guys. But I did like their characters, especially Agent Mason. I thought he was very entertaining, and like whenever he smiles in battle, like I feel like he's just really enjoying his time. Like the actor, I think he does like his role, but overall, like there just really wasn't much going for them, at least to me. But I thought their action scenes were cool as well. Overall, the show just didn't feel like it was needed, which is fine. I don't think the show needs to be connected to the main movie series, but I wish they would show more of Knuckles at the very least. It's just too much of Wade. In the end, it just felt like a nothing burger or a meh burger. Yeah, pretty much a meh burger. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Knuckles show, and now I turn it over to you guys. What do you guys think of the show? Do you like it or dislike it? Love or hate it? Let me know down in the comments below. Regardless of how good or bad the show was, I'm still excited for the third Sonic movie and how they're going to implement Shadow. I recently finished up Sonic Adventure 2, and I wonder how they'll adapt his origins to the movie. So that'll be it for now, guys. That's game.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good